Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest and audience. I have with me my producer extraordinaire, John Coleman, but we're giving you all a 3-for-1 with a special guest, UCF's own Cameron Moore. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. Gentlemen, you all ready to do this?
You messed up the intro. That's not how we usually do it.
Well, I've never done it with
You've
three
never
people,
done
John.
it. That's awkward. Please,
Well, I
don't say it like
apologize.
that.
So I apologize to you or I apologize to the fans?
Apologize to the fans out there.
I apologize to the fans. It is very rare for us to actually do a podcast episode where there's more than two of us. It's typically, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
Or it's, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest all the way from Bartow, Florida, by way of UCF. He is now a partner with Hometown Home Buyers, Cameron Moore.
What up, what up?
Is that better for you, John?
That's much better. Thank you.
All right, that's much better for John. We can get rolling, but more specifically, we are live and on location. University of Central Florida, home of the Knights, College of Business, in the Exchange with what looks to be about 60 plus
Hungover students.
future leaders.
Smacked. Bounce house last night.
Hey.
We are at the Exchange. Students, let us hear you. Come on, make some
Clap,
noise.
please. Yeah.
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
all that, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Man, who would have thought 11 a.m. on a Tuesday?
Too early.
Way too early. So here's what we're going to do. We have me, we have John, and we have Cameron Moore. And instead of us doing a presentation, what we want to do is make ourselves available for pure Q&A. We want this entire episode to be an episode where we can give advice, whether it's career advice, whether it's personal finance advice, whether it's adulting 101 advice to you all, the students. Because here's what we have learned going through the ranks. Cameron just 2 years ago, John a decade ago, me 2 decades ago. There's nothing worse than showing up to a presentation, especially when you didn't like necessarily want to come here, but you had to come here because you're getting a class grade to be here. And people just talk at you. And they talk at you and they talk at you. That's not fun. What sometimes is fun to come here and have a wealth of experience to draw from, and you all get to ask us questions. So I'm curious, who has a question that you want to get everything kicked off with? And we're going to make an entire episode based on your questions, our answers. And when we give the answer, our goal is going to be to give it not just for these 18 to 24-year-olds, but for the 18 to 24-year-olds from Spokane to Key West and everywhere in between. Sound good, John?
What?
Yeah, you're spaced out.
Zoning out already.
Yeah.
All right, first question.
Yeah.
This kid was excited. I'm going to throw it at you, but like try not to hit the equipment because if you do, it's coming out of your tuition. So talking to the mic.
Testing. Oh, that's
See,
cool.
that's cool, right? Catch box.
Oh, absolutely. Well, my name's TJ Ruggiero. First-time fan, first-time caller.
Yeah. Love it, TJ.
Yeah, TJ, like T.
Yeah.
Got a question for John, actually.
Oh,
I'm I know, I got you working overtime. But I'm also a fellow marketing major. And I noticed Dustin mentioned that you worked at EA Sports.
uh-huh.
I was just wondering, could you go into detail about like how you got into that job and what your responsibilities were?
Yeah, so out of college, I applied to every job I could online and overqualified, underqualified, and I eventually got in as a QA tester. So some of you may have known, like, we go there and you bug taste the games all day. The job is as horrible as you think it would be, but, you know, I was lucky. I persevered and some way found a job in marketing, where I was in charge of like back of package. So back in the day when magazines were still a thing, you used to like read like Game Pro or all this stuff. I was in charge of taking all the assets, we would call them. So like screenshots, if you see like trailers for Madden, I was in charge of like recording them and eventually worked my way up to where I was in charge of the marketing campaign for like all of Madden. So any commercials you see, YouTube videos, influencer activations, you know, fun shit like that. That's what I kind of worked my way up towards.
That's really cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure, man.
But what's the cool story about it is you started as a video game tester.
Yeah, I started at the bottom. It's horrible.
But you didn't care though. Like you knew you wanted to work at EA.
Yeah, like when I eventually got my opportunity, like I slept overnight on the floor for like 2 nights. Like I did crazy shit, like shit that you hear in movies, like to get the job. That's what I did to get it, and it was great. I spent 13 years there. I learned a lot. But eventually, I found out corporate America wasn't necessarily for me. But it was a great opportunity. So if you ever do get the opportunity, and you hear people talk about like, oh, what did you do different? Like, you gotta like think way outside the box, no pun intended, to land the career you want.
Thank you very much.
For sure.
Nice. Thanks, TJ. Who else has a question for us? Oh, in the back. Perfect.
Chuck that thing.
Hello? Alright. This is for each of you guys. If you guys were to graduate today, what industry would you look for a career in?
Oh.
Damn, that's you. I'm not ready for that shit.
Okay. At the end of the day, here's what I have learned in general. There are certain aspects of who we are as people that we're just naturally good at things. If you're naturally good at something, you're going to like it. And if you like something, you're going to be able to endure it. And so much of success is being able to embrace the suck and outlast other people who weren't willing to embrace whatever sucky part of their job they had to embrace. I'll give you all an example. My degree's in ad PR. I thought I was going to love crisis PR. Like that would have been my jam until I learned that it's 18 years of making no money, doing menial tasks to get to the point of crisis PR. And I wasn't willing to go 18 years of making no money. So I had to find other professions. What profession would I jump into 2024? I'm graduating. Man, anything that's financial technology, anything that's data analytics, that would be interesting to me. But then I'd have to figure out how to go sell it because I love being a salesperson. Because in sales, you have unlimited income potential. And I'm a kid that grew up envious of those families that got to take vacations, right? I grew up envious of, people not having money. Or me not having money, but people having money. So I was always going to put myself in a position where I could afford vacations and I could also afford, this is what I grew up envious of. I was envious of people who had dads who didn't spend the entire weekend fixing shit that broke, right? Like I made a decision that I was going to be someone who could pay someone else to come in and do what they do really well so that I could do what I like to do really well, or I could enjoy my leisure. So I'd still be in sales, but I'd probably look more data analytics or fintech. That'd be my answer. What do you have, Cam?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer. The way I approached it was, I wanted to follow my natural drift in regards to like, I knew I wanted to make money. So I picked a vehicle. I flip houses, so part owner in a real estate investment company. I knew that was gonna be something that allowed me to actually make money. And then a big thing too that I found is like, I didn't feel like you necessarily need to find something that you love to do at the beginning. I knew that once I made money, options start to open for you. And like, you don't know exactly what the end goal is going to be in regards to like your career, right? I mean, I'm using real estate to make money. I'm not going to be in it forever. Who knows? I like business. I found out I like business. So I picked something that I knew it's like, okay, a lot of people, a lot of millionaires have been created through real estate. I knew that's a medium I could use to make money. And then once you start making money, options open and things of that nature. And then you just start following your natural drift. Second thing being, there are some industries, right? Even if you're like the best operator in the world, best entrepreneur in the world, like, you're going up against something that's not going to work. Like if you got into newspapers today, like this doesn't make sense. So pick something that, I think there's going to be, a solid time horizon with, something where, you have a wind in your back. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett talk about that. Something so you have a little bit compounding effect, but in regards to like getting the right career, your first shot, I don't think that's something you should totally focus on. I think it depends on like what you're optimizing for. If you want to make money, I think, there's quite a few things you can pick. Sales, like Dio said, that'll get you far in regards to like anything. And then what you sell, that can always change.
It's interesting. I love having Cameron up here. And obviously I know him on an intimate level because I met him, when he was still a junior in college, and I've seen what he has done since graduating. But when I met him, he was pre-med, right? So what's your degree in?
Yeah, pre-med, so health sciences.
Yeah, health sciences. And you basically could have gone to almost any medical school you wanted to go to.
Yeah, I took the MCAT, did all that fun stuff.
Yeah, but you decided that wasn't for you.
Correct.
What, out of curiosity, this is, I think, good for people to understand. Like, you're talking to someone who runs a mortgage company for a living, but my degree's in ad PR, right? Cameron was pre-med until he realized, oh, I don't want to do pre-med. What was it that turned you off from pursuing a career as a medical doctor?
So the biggest thing was I decided that I knew I wanted to make money. And, the whole reason I got into med was because I'm like, okay, these doctors make a lot of money. But then once you start actually getting into it, first off, you realize you're tied into it for a long time. I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. It's like my main goal was to actually make money. And it's like, if I'm going to do that, there's a lot of other things that I'm not like tied to for the rest of my life. Because med school, you got, 4 years med, residency, things of that nature. I'm not making any money until I'm like, mid 30s. And so my whole goal was, okay, what's something that I can, have flexibility with, and then also carry that on in the future and like potentially change. That was a big thing for me. So that's why I made the switch.
Yeah, well, I love a story he tells me, or maybe he told me, and maybe he lied to me, but we'll find out today. But it came down to like, you want to be a doctor because you want to help people, right? You want to help sick people become healthy, hurt people become not hurt anymore. But Cameron learned through various internships that even as a doctor, you're a business person first. And it's all about billing and it's all about revenue. And it's less about actually patient care. And it's like, well, crap, if it's all about revenue and all about billing, then let me go into other industries that don't require me to spend $200,000 on an education or 8 years of my life. Something I want everyone to recognize, it isn't always about the money. I'm going to kick it over to John in a second because unlike Cameron and I, what I love about John's dynamic is I'll tell you from being friends with him and a business partner of his, he's not driven by money.
I don't give a shit about money.
Well, you do because you have a bougie lifestyle and you wear bougie clothes.
Well, the secret to live the lifestyle you want, all you children out there, is to not have them. So as long as you don't have kids, you can do whatever for as long as you want.
Yeah, dual income, no kids definitely helps out. But no, what I was going to add on Cameron before I kick it over to John is Cameron and I did about a 20-minute prep call yesterday before coming in here to perform for you all or present for you all. And he was like, hey, Dio, make sure you make it known. I was actually impressed that you even told people that you're in real estate investing, right? Because if you ask Cameron what he does for a living, he's an entrepreneur. He's in sales. He's in marketing. He's in systems. He's in lead generating. It doesn't really matter the vehicle. Right. And I don't know if they actually teach you that in school. I haven't been in a college of business course ever, let alone in the past 2 or 3 years. And I don't know if it's really harped on that it's not necessarily, the industry you're in. It's more about the processes that it takes to run that particular company. Like I have learned once I successfully ran a mortgage company, I can probably successfully run many other companies. Right. Because it's the same workflows. It's the same hiring process, onboard, offboard. Revenue in versus, against expenses, it becomes very cookie cutter in a way. So I'd want you all to take notes. If you're looking at Cameron, it's like, no, he became an entrepreneur. He's a sales and marketing expert. He's a lead generating machine. He just so happened to pick the vehicle. If he's a race car driver, the vehicle that he's driving right now happens to be in residential real estate. Right.
And I want to add one thing real quick to that as well is going back to the point of what industry to pick. Throughout this, my medium is real estate. But like Dio said, I enjoy the game, the game of business in general. So I can take that and apply that to something else. It's the lessons I've learned using real estate, I think are applicable for pretty much any business. And so I really enjoy that process as a whole. In 10 years from now, what will I be in? I don't know. I don't. I'll probably still have some ties to real estate. But in regards to actually running business, the game in and of itself, that's what I really enjoy. So I think that optimizing for learning as much as you possibly can and focusing a little bit less on the money at the beginning and really, really optimizing on what can I learn? Because, you may have peers that go out and make 6 figures or whatever the case may be coming out of college and you're I'm envious of them, but they may not have the opportunity to learn as much. So then check back in 10 years later, it's the people that can take those first 3 to 5 years and just soak up as much, knowledge as they possibly can. It's check back in a little bit and see where they're at in comparison. And I think that's a big thing I've tried to prioritize. Because I have learned pretty much by getting my teeth punched is so much in the past 3 years. It's the money will follow, but the amount that I've learned, I feel I could take it, get it taken all away today and then make it all back again tomorrow.
Valuable insights. So many people play a game of checkers, but those that are achieved the highest level of success, they play a game of chess. It's a long game. You're setting up your next move. Sometimes it takes you 2 years to set up the move that you're looking for in year 3. Cameron hates me talking about this, but if I was in your shoes and I have someone like him on a panel like this, I like talking about the fact that he's going to eclipse that, it's everyone's first goal. I want to make 6 figures. And then once you make it, you realize it's not really that much money, Like it's not going to be life changing. You're not going to, be flying on PJs and, doing bottle service in Vegas, but it's definitely better than most of the American populace. But what'd you make your first full year out of college?
First full year in the game, I think it was like 30 something thousand.
Yeah,
like dirt.
Yeah,
Absolute
30
dirt.
something thousand. I remember him saying, look, and he was willing to eat dirt. He goes, I'm willing to eat dirt. He's like, I will do what it takes if it means I get to my end goal. And that's the whole playing chess versus playing checkers. John, what's your answer to if you were graduating today or next
Barely.
year? What industry would
Can
you
you
be
get a
looking
D
at?
and graduate?
What's
Can you
that?
get D's and graduate?
Can you still get
Yeah.
D's and
All right,
graduate?
then I'm good. All right.
Or are you asking for a friend?
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do so because I started in marketing. It was cool because I thought it'd be fun. You get to do all the cool stuff. But honestly, if I could graduate now, I'd want to learn something that teaches me how to build stuff with my hands because I can't change a tire. It's cool to learn all this production stuff. You meet a lot of cool celebrities. You learn videography. But all marketing is working on PowerPoint decks and sitting in a cube and arguing with people. That's really all marketing is. And if you can deal with it, it's cool. You get some cool ideas, but like those skills don't necessarily translate like into the real world. And by real world, I mean things you can like actually do. Like being on set is cool and be able to direct someone, but like if my water heater goes out, like I'm screwed. So I need to call someone. So as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate tradesmen, tradeswomen, people who can actually build things, fix things with their hands, because having a degree is cool, having cool Pritzers and TikToks and celebrity stuff is cool, but as you get older and you kind of get into owning a home and owning a car and owning just stuff in general, you'll realize that a lot of the stuff you learn in college, you have to pay for like once you get out of it. So I don't know if that answers anybody's question, but that's my answer.
That was deep. That was deep. Yeah.
Did you appreciate that? Child in the back who asked that? Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, JC, John Coleman, JC, the carpenter.
What do y'all want to do? What are some of your goals? Just shout out stuff. What are some of your majors? Like, what do people here want to do? Like, I want to be a fisherman. Like, I want to be a doctor. Like, what do we?
Rich.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I like the answer rich. What does rich mean?
Money.
Not just a lot of money, but rich in character.
Okay. Yeah. Because rich is a pretty broad and bold statement. I think it typically starts with money. And then if you're fortunate enough to get the money, then you realize, oh crap, it's not about the money. So then it may be about legacy. It may be about your community. It may be about you as a human. You're like, am I the type of human I wanted to be? But great answer. I mean, I like it. What else? What are y'all studying? What are you hoping to do career-wise?
Financial advising.
Financial advisor? Okay. In the front?
Yeah. Do I need the box?
No, you don't need the box. You yell it out.
All right. I want to work in sales, but I want to work in entertainment. I want to work with talent.
Okay. So like a talent rep, like talent agency type thing.
Like that.
Just be prepared. It's super fake, and you got to deal with fake people all day long. So if you like being fake, like there's a difference. Some people like the game. Some people don't mind being fake. They want to like throw people under the bus and talk shit and do all that stuff to get ahead. Other people, like myself, I just want to show up and do a good job. I don't need accolades. I don't need like a fake title. I don't need people reporting to me. I just want to show up, do my job, be told it's a good job. I like that creative shot and keep it moving. So my word for the wisdom, like if you want to be like on the sales like side, it's going to be very snaky. So just be prepared for that. But if you're ready for it, kudos. But I'm willing to give like any help. You have any other questions, I can help you get started. But just be wary of that. As you get into corporate America, you thought like people were fake and snaky like in college. It gets like 15 times worse as soon as you get into the real world. So just keep that in your mind because you can't trust any of these snakes.
But it is a game. It is a game. And if you're willing to work the game, you're willing to play the game. Like I'm willing to work the game. John has seen me in action. Mm-hmm. I have learned that when John and I are traveling, usually to conferences or speaking engagements where clients are paying us money to go up to and speak at their event, I don't even invite him to the fancy dinner afterwards, right? He'll literally tell me, and you guys are all adults, and he's like, I can't fuck with that. Literally, and I know he can't. So we play that role, and that's part of our partnership. Yeah, I'll go shake hands, kiss babies, do whatever it takes in order to make sure that we are moving our needle in the right direction to we'll go to our end game. In the entertainment industry, I love that industry. Like if I could do something else again, oh, I'd love to move to Nashville and I would love to break artists. Like I can't sing, I can't play, but I love music.
He can dance though, real talk.
I can dance a
No
little
shit,
bit.
yeah.
I can dance a little bit. But I would love to break artists. And I have a friend of mine that I met at UCF who, y'all know the artist Jelly Roll? It's pretty cool. Jelly Roll shouted her out 2 nights ago on the CMAs, right? So she's a fellow UCF Knight, and she went from an internship in the promotions department at K92 FM here locally, the local country radio station, to she met a couple people who were working in Nashville. She went up to Nashville, and she ate dirt, right? She made no money. She worked 20-hour days. She was on the road, but now, like, she's hanging out with Lainey Wilson, Jason Aldean, Jelly Roll, and Jelly Roll shouting her out on the CMAs. So yeah, I love that that's what you think you want to do. And I think our advice would be go after it. Listen to John. He knows what he's talking about. And listen to Cameron about eating dirt. But if you're willing to put up with the BS and eat a little bit of dirt, it's more about where you're going to be at 30 and 36, not necessarily where you're going to be at 22 or 24.
Word.
Did you have a follow-up to that?
Yeah, actually, set me up for another question. You two have been in the workforce for a while and been doing very well, and you're new to it. How do you deal with snakiness, those things you talked about, people just being
Grimy.
a little bit
Yeah.
evil?
For me, I learned, and I'll tell you a story of kind of like how I dealt with it, because this is like the kind of story that taught me the most. Back in 2008, how old were some of the people in this room? How old were you guys? 5. Okay, this is great. So at the time when I was trying to get full-time at EA Sports, I heard someone on the radio, and I was like, who's this person? Like, and I was doing anything I could to try to get full-time. I was not cleaning bathrooms, but I was like cleaning up stuff. I'll do this, I'll do that. I'll just work way out of my lane. And I heard this guy on the radio, and I said, who is this? It's on Spotify. It's 2008. And I went to the head of music at the time for EA Sports. Way out of my lane. I was kind of, insubordination, but whatever. I was just trying to add value. And at the time, this is exactly what I said. I was like, hey, there's this guy. I think we should work with him, because I wanted to get on the entertainment side. I think we should sign him. I didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know what I was doing. The guy was like, who's this guy? And I was like, his name's Drake. And he's like, who the hell is Drake? Like, your garage band? And like laughed at me. He literally laughed at me. And I was like, no, it's a guy I really think he's gonna be popping one day. Like, I think you should look into him. Didn't look into him, didn't want to hear it, kind of laughed me off. The next year, I was at E3, which is like a big convention for, video games or whatnot. And on the stage for FIFA, which is like the biggest title at the time, really drives the most revenue, they had a special guest, and that special guest was Drake, as you can imagine. And nobody said it. I was like, wow, that's holy shit. Like, that's the guy I suggested. So once you kind of see things through that lens, you just have to understand that it's going to happen. It's not if, but like when it's going to happen, and it's how you respond to it. So like, I could have flew off the hinges. I could have like been irate. I could have done this. I could have done that. But in that moment, I realized like, oh shit, like I actually know what I'm talking about. And I think that's the biggest thing. When you have creative ideas, when you think outside of the box, most people are going to shit in your idea because they don't understand it, or they feel threatened, i.e. that should have been my idea. That's why I'm the director, like, blah, 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 blah. But the more headwind you face, the more haters you get, the more sneaky people you encounter. I kind of find not inspiration, but that lets me know I'm doing the right thing. Because if your ideas were ass and your execution was bullshit, like nobody would care. They'd be like, yeah, keep doing a good job, because nobody really cares. So the more snakiness and the more grimy people you encounter on your path of life and in your career, just understand that it's most likely jealousy and low self-esteem.
Yeah, because that was your issue. Like in that particular moment, your issue was because it wasn't that person's idea, they weren't willing to listen to you. The other issue could have been, and this happens, it was your idea, it was a great idea, they take it and don't give you credit for the idea. And I think the challenge for all of us as professionals is to keep it professional and to somehow allow that to be a good chip on your shoulder. Like, remember it, right? Remember what happened, try to learn from it, but don't let it distract you. Don't let it put you down a rabbit hole that you can't get out of. Keep marching forward with a good lesson, and maybe even a little bit of a little extra oomph to make sure that you're going to go out of your way to make sure that doesn't happen again, in a positive.
Great job.
How about you? Have you, Cameron, come across any like shadiness or sliminess? And if so, like what did you learn from it, or how did you grow from it?
Yeah, so our industry in real estate specifically is full of them. There's a lot of people that just don't operate based off of they don't care about their personal brand at all. Like, they're willing to tarnish their name for a quick buck. I think that the people that I admire most, and it's happened to us too, but it's like, once again, on a long enough time horizon, the people that like to end up succeeding are the ones that have like the good brand, that follow, stick to their word and things of that nature. Those guys, like, they tend to not make it, over a long period of time. So like, I try not to worry about it. I mean, it's tough when you're getting started, right? And it's like, everything you do is quick, and it's like, I got to get something up and running. And if somebody like screws you on a deal or something like that, it's tough. But I try not to let it get to me. It doesn't really affect me. Like, we try to operate and build our brand, because once again, I try to like look at things on a longer time horizon, just because I know that like I want to be in the game for a while. And so building a personal brand is like pretty much like one of the biggest things we try to focus on. People will bring us deals and things of that nature just because they know we'll execute and things of that nature. So to answer your question about like, the sliminess and things like that, I wouldn't try to let it get to you too much. It's gonna be part of it, but I mean, you can't control that. You can control how you react to it and things of that nature. So that's probably my advice.
Question on this side. These people are sleeping over here.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you throw the box so she could? Sorry, that sounds so weird.
Oh,
That was a good throw.
I was aggressive.
Josh.
I wish that hit my camera. I needed a new one anyway. I'll get your contact info after this.
Okay, my question is for Cameron. As someone who's in real estate, how accurate do you think those shows like Selling Sunset or Selling Sunset are, or they're just like totally like?
They're spot on.
It's like a documentary.
They're
Real
spot on. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's all for show and games, right?
It's
It's entertaining. It's entertainment, right? And trust me, like, there are some entertaining things in the the business world, but nothing to that degree, right? Like, shout out to the guys that run it and the people that run it, right? They're making buku-doodles of money, but how much are they actually making from real estate and things of that nature? I think the Oppenheim people they're studs, but in regards to how real is it? I mean, it's all for show, right? I mean, JC knows the back end of that stuff, but yeah, it's not as glamorous.
Yeah,
as,
the house is already sold and rehabbed before they even like start shooting. So
yeah, it's fun to watch though.
yeah. I being a mentor, right? Being a mentor and having young professionals like Cameron that I've been able to invest in, it is the most rewarding. It's the most frustrating, right? The frustrating aspect is, oh no, I just watched a YouTube video. This is going to be easy. Or, oh no, I heard someone on a podcast. This is going to be easy. So that's frustrating. The rewarding is when it gets kicked in the teeth. In a way, it's rewarding as a mentor because it's like you try to say, hey, look out for this. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would have all of the money and have all of the fame and all of the success. It's not easy. So yes, those shows make it look easy because they're supposed to be entertaining. But
to add to that too, about it being a lot harder than you think, like watching a video and then it being easier. I'm gonna be honest with you, if I knew how hard it would be to like build kind of like what we built and things of that nature, I don't know if I would have done it, to be quite honest with you. Like it was 10 times harder than I thought it was gonna be. So like I think there's some good about being a little bit delusional. I think that's like very helpful in regards to like getting started and like pursuing through it. But if you think it's going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to go and make $1 million my first year, it's going to be super easy, super glamorous, it's far from it. But then on a longer, once again, a longer time horizon, I think it's good to be able to like get your, your teeth kicked in at the beginning because, it's like, okay, I built this, I didn't get a quick win, and you can sustain that over your career.
I like the word naive over delusional. I think it's just being naive. It's just being inexperienced, and that's okay. Like, there's nothing we can do about being inexperienced besides gain experience, and gaining experience takes time. It just takes at-bats, it takes reps, it takes time. And that applies in all aspects of life, right? As a parent of a 15-year-old and 18-year-old, I don't want any more children, but if you drop 3 children on my doorstep today, I promise you I'd be a better parent for those 3 than I was my first 2 because I've had more experience. To Cameron's point, if I knew how hard it was to parent y'all, yeah, I would have never gone there. I would have gone the way JC went. Right? Because that's trying and that's difficult to do. It's very rewarding, but trying and difficult. Does that help you with your question?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Do you think that because it's harder than what people perceive it as or people say it is, say on the internet or on shows, does that reflect in like the work ethic of say your colleagues or people that that are in the same industry?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think in general, our society wants to take a pill to lose weight. They want to do whatever the get-rich-quick scheme is. And they're always looking for the quick, easy fix, and there's no such thing. And because of that, you'll have people enter, especially real estate, as well as mortgage, and you look at how little they make, or you see how Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule, how much it comes into play. And it's because, most people don't have the it factor to get after it, to stick with it, to work really hard even when they're not making money, and to do it for a long enough period of time that they're going to be able to see the results. And I think because of that, if you're talking real estate specifically, that you'll see the numbers being skewed that 80% don't make any money.
That's good though. That's how you want it, because that means, there's more for you. I mean, realistically, like that's why you see so many people jump from like industry to industry, right? It's because they can't stick with it. They want to like have a quick pop. But like truly, if you would just stick with something for 5 to 10 years, I mean, and you're like, diligent with it, not even like having like a great intensity, but like being consistent, it's almost hard to lose. Like look at somebody that's been in an industry, that's like truly tried for like 10 years. They've got to have some sort of success. I mean, it's just by sheer luck, just staying consistent with it. So I mean, like that's good for us though, because we're like we want everything quick society. And so like if you stick with something for a long enough period of time, like it's hard to lose. And so I think that's a good thing, right? That everyone else wants something, a quick fix.
Yeah, for the entrepreneurs in the house, 2 to 3 years.
Someone
Just
had a
know that
question
it's
back there.
2 to 3 years to get something off the ground.
Good hands. What was that? Did he drop that for real?
So this is for both of y'all.
What's your name, my friend?
My name is Armani.
Armani, okay.
So considering you two been in the game for like a really long time, what would you consider like your biggest professional regret that you would tell us to like do differently?
Ooh, professional regret.
I already know my answer, but I'm going to let you speak first.
No, you go first.
You
'Cause
get
I
three,
gotta
by the way, you get about 3 seconds around me of silence before I start to freak the F out. For people like me, 3 seconds of silence is like 30 minutes of silence.
my biggest regret was applying to the job on LinkedIn, because now it led me to this. I could have just been at home smoking weed, playing Xbox, to be honest with you. So, no. Biggest regret, I wouldn't say it's a regret. It's just like you see things clearly, like 20/20 hindsight. It sounds dumb, but nothing. I think you have to do it this way. You have to learn things, because if you go back in time and you change it, it just alters the trajectory of what you learn and where you landed. So, I mean, I know Dustin will probably say a lot of things he wishes went differently, but for me, since I'm a creative, I really don't kind of look back and like, oh, I should have done that. You can learn from it, but nothing. I think everything kind of happens for a reason. I'm a real like universal type person. Like your thoughts become things. I'm very like spiritual in that sense. So I just knew something would work out. Like I had a mantra, like hours repeated, and I thought like EA was like the thing. I thought like once I kind of reached a certain pinnacle there, it's like, oh, I actually reached my goal. Like my words became a thing. Like I'm hanging out, I'm doing all this, but then I realized like that's not actually it. And I think the course that Dustin and myself are on now is actually what I kind of envisioned for myself. Because it does allow me the creative freedom. I am building this. It is ours. It's not something that is owned by a corporation. So yeah, you just gotta know what you want. And the secret is like write that shit down. It sounds like a joke, but if you really want like a job, if you really want something to happen in your life, it's not fake. Like you have to like write it down physically on a piece of paper, and recite it out loud every single day.
Will you share yours with us?
Yeah, sure. I haven't recited it in a while, because here it is. I will earn $10 million in exchange for my knowledge, patience, and creative talents. I'll achieve this goal by January 25th, 2020 by working for myself and with people I love and care about to create amazing content that lasts a lifetime.
So 2020 or 2030, it's okay.
Yeah, I was fucking,
Hey,
clearly I'm way
No,
off.
but
Yeah.
but he is on that trajectory, right? He is on that trajectory. We're going to take our show that's right now twice a week, and specifically about 65% of our audience, quite honestly, they are mortgage and real estate professionals, but we want their clients, right? We really want to be shit they don't teach in school. So we know that we need to go to 5 days a week. We need to have hour-long episodes, and we need to have one episode that's 2 hours long and it's pure call-in. And we feel like if we can do that and we can start embracing, not hosting our videos on YouTube, because we do that. Like you can, just like with Rogan, you can watch this episode on YouTube. No, I want a YouTube channel that looks like a YouTube channel that helps brand what we're trying to do bigger scale in the universe in terms of teaching people everything they should have learned in high school but didn't. So John is on that trajectory as long as we continue down the path that we're on. To answer your question, Amani, I have 3 different directions I can answer your question with. The first is I regret none of my mistakes. In fact, I would tell anyone who's willing to listen, I feel like I have achieved success because I've made more mistakes. I've put myself in opportunities to make the most mistakes the quickest and then learn from them. So much of life may be a race to go who can go make the most mistakes, who can go screw some stuff up the most, and then learn from it, fix it, make it better, apologize if you are, out of line a little bit. But so my mistakes would be more opportunity cost. So opportunity cost number one, I have a very successful mortgage company that I helped build from the ground floor up with 2 business partners. Like legitimately 15 years ago, we were coming out of the financial crisis, right? The Great Recession. It was the 3 of us. We had 1 processor, 1 assistant, and we are in like 1,400 square feet that we could barely afford in Winter Park, Florida. Today, we have over 11 branches, 120 associates, and what used to be a good year is now an average month. I don't own a piece of that company. Mistake number 1, understand what equity is and how do you get your hands on it, right? There's a reason why Cameron has 30% equity, right? He had a really good mentor that maybe shared some life advice. He also earned it because equity is not given out. It truly is earned. My second one was a business opportunity, and I can't really kick myself for this because it didn't present itself, but I run a mortgage company. When you're obtaining a home loan, it means you're buying a house. In order to own a home and have a mortgage, you must have homeowners insurance. Like it's not optional, it is a mandate. Why in the hell did I not have ownership interest in a homeowners insurance agency? Like if I just went back 10 years ago, my book of business for anyone who's looking for a career in insurance, whether it's life at Northwestern Mutual or whether it's commercial at Brown & Brown or whether it's owned in an Allstate franchise, my book of business would be well over $1 million today, meaning I could sell that book for over $1 million. And I didn't do it. It just didn't dawn on me. I wasn't with it enough, or I wasn't smart enough. Look, life comes at you. You know what I did this year? Oh, I invested in a homeowners insurance industry or agency. Now I did so when my industry is in a bit of a recession, right? So it's again a long play. I won't make any money from this homeowners insurance agency. But what I hope to do is when I go to retire in 10 years, part of my retirement plan would be to sell that book of business, split the proceeds with my 2 business partners, and move on. So those would be my answers to your question regarding like mistakes, quote unquote.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Rishi. My question is, can you guys elaborate on a time that you went through really rough patches, like when you ate dirt, or you're just struggling a bit, and tell us the beginning of your careers and how you got through it, and also if there's any books that you guys would recommend to read.
Cam, let's kick it down to you.
Sure. So yeah, speaking of the dirt part, I'm really familiar with that. I just knew that I would regret like giving up on it more so than I would if like I went and just got like a comfortable job or something like that, to where like I feel like I would look back on that and be like, that would be a failure for me personally. I knew it, like the what ifs is what would kill me. And so I was like, okay, if I stick this out and it doesn't work, at least like I tried, like I'm okay with that. But the thought of like kind of giving up when I like knew I didn't give it everything, that would hurt more than, the little bit of like eating dirt for a couple of years and things of that nature. So that was like my big motto to myself, like internally. And then you can't lose if you don't quit, kind of thing, So that was a big part of it. Books wise, there's a lot of them. I'll let Dio answer, and then I'll come back to you with a couple.
Oh man, I have to answer the book. Well, so my go-to book for most people is Atomic Habits, because life is all about creating the right habit. I'm talking about you want to go run a 5K, develop better habits, right? You want to get healthy, develop better habits. So I have learned that life is all about habits. And I've read several books on habit formation, but Atomic Habits by James Clear, still my jam. If you are a professional and you're paying me thousands of dollars to coach you, the very first homework assignment is go buy Atomic Habits. And we make it a part of our semester that the group reads that and we talk about it. So that's probably one of my go-to. Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I love Extreme Ownership because that basically teaches you that it's always your fault. It doesn't matter what happened, right? I had a business relationship go sour with a childhood friend, right? I hope that I can resurrect that friendship, but I don't blame him. I blame me. I didn't do enough up front to explain to him what I thought the company should do, what my expectations of him were, etc. right? So extreme ownership is a great way to quit playing the victim and teach you how to take ownership of your own actions. And it's written by a Navy SEAL and a fellow podcaster. The dude's a badass. His name is Jocko. So those would be the two books. My answer regarding like not being able to make it, Eminem says it best, but failure is not an option. It just isn't. Like I've never gone into something where I was like, oh my gosh, what if I fail? I don't allow myself to think that way. And I would bet on myself every single time. So have I valeted cars? Oh yeah, I valeted cars. Have I signed up with FEMA to pick up debris doing manual labor? Yeah. I was once an assistant auctioneer. Why? Because I had a baby and I couldn't afford my bills. But I wasn't willing to sacrifice my dream, and I wasn't willing to not make it. So I've done things like deferred my student loans. Before there was things like Hulu and Netflix, right? So all you had was cable. I shut off my cable, deferred my student loans, drove around Orlando with a for sale sign in my car, right? Did every side hustle I could because I wasn't willing to fail at my ultimate career. And I'm not afraid to work. There are 24 hours in the day. I need to sleep 8 of those 24 hours. The other 16 I can work, right? Preferably I don't. Maybe I only work 12 of them. But I'm not afraid to work. And I think that helped as well. You have anything to add, John?
Books, some with large font and a lot of pictures. So that's what I like to read. And then, yeah, I guess my thing, life is it goes by quick. Like it sounds like a joke. Everybody says it, especially old people, but it really does go by quick. So if you're in a shitty situation, just realize that it will pass, and before you know it, you'll be on to the next problem. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
We have time for a 30-second question. And by the way, we'll hang out because we don't have anything to do until 1 o'clock. So if y'all don't have anything to do and you want to get your questions answered, then we'll hang out. But I can see the clock's coming up on the 12 o'clock hour. 30 seconds. Yes, ma'am. And I can come over here too.
I got your book too. The Almanac by Naval Ravikant. That's probably like one of the biggest influential books I've read. So read that.
There are some students that classes start at noon.
Oh.
So, yeah. So
And
if
it.
you wants to stay, it's cool, and then you mind if we.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? If you all have class and you want to get out of here,
Skip it. No, I'm
peace
playing.
out. Everyone else, stick around. Ask your question. We'll work through everyone leaving. Thank you all for showing up.
Thank you, everybody.
Go
Round of
Knights,
applause for
charge on.
yourselves, everybody. Yay.
But now we're in bonus time. And in bonus time, we'll take 2 more questions. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I have a question. I always hear the saying it takes money.
Yeah.
It takes money to make money. And when it comes to investing and running your own business, what do you think the best time to do that is?
Okay, so the question was, because it didn't catch up on audio, Jackie, right?
Jacqueline.
Oh, Jacqueline. Okay, Jacqueline asked, she's always heard it takes money to make money, but where do you get started when you don't have money, right? Cameron, I'm going to kick it over to you because he may have a really good answer for this.
Yeah, so you either have like one or two things. You have time or money. At the beginning, what do we have when we don't have money? We have time. So like you can use that time to make money. And then I'm a big proponent of investing, the money that you do make back into yourself so that you can increase your earning capacity. So like I personally look at it as I'm going to make a lot more money investing in myself than I would in like, the S&P for, 50 years or whatever. So it's like I take the time, I make as much money as I possibly can by learning new skills and getting more, more money per hour, with higher, higher valued skills, and just really focusing on that, investing money back into myself. And then look where that takes me. So at the beginning, if you have time, which you probably do if you don't have money, because you're going to have one or the other, use that time.
Do you believe in savings, or do you think just invest all those savings?
Sure. So I think it's good to have some savings, definitely, to be able to, keep yourself afloat. But personally, like, we're at the age, at the beginning when you're getting started to where I feel like you can take those risks. It's easier now to take those risks than it will be when you have a family, down the road and things of that nature. So I'm willing to, go a little bit heavier on the risk proponent just because I believe in myself and I want to learn those skills so that I'll be set up in the future. But what does having, $50,000 in the bank account or whatever do for you when you could be, making that in a month if you have the right skills, right? So that's the way I try to look at it.
So success in general, it requires time, knowledge, and capital. If you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the capital, then you need a partner. Go find partners that can bring the capital and the knowledge. But here's the cool thing about knowledge. You can buy knowledge. You can pay for a course. You can pay for a mentor, a coach, a consultant. You can buy into a franchise. That's buying into knowledge. So, but sometimes you need to find a partner. You may have the time, find a partner with the money, right? You're willing to work 14, 16 hours a day. Find someone who has the money to finance your idea. Just make sure your idea is well vetted with a pro forma. So you may need to go work for someone else for 2, 3, or 5 years. And once you work for someone else, maybe save some money that you can invest in yourself later, but don't be afraid of a partner. Yes, sir. I promised one back over there too, but go ahead.
So I had a question for Dustin specifically about you being an angel investor. So what made you want to go into angel investing, and was it difficult to do?
Okay, so I'm a degenerate gambler in general. And if you don't believe me, come hang out with me at a craps table. I love making money. Like, that is my hobby. My hobby, besides like baseball, football, triathlons, watching UCF football, like another hobby is I like making money. So if there is a way for me to figure out how the business works and how I could put 25 or 50 grand into that business and get some kind of a high return, I'm all for it. So now, in order to be an angel investor, you have to be qualified. And in order to be qualified, in order to be an angel investor, you have to know who the angel investors are. So I put myself in situations or positions where I could network with people, right? Every city has their own small clubs or groups. I made sure I was putting myself in rooms with those people, but I couldn't do it until I was deemed a qualified investor. And then, like anything, you start out small. You start out not knowing really what you're doing, but if you're part of a group, you trust the group does, and you ride along, and then you'll maybe get to a point to where you'll grow with the group. Was that your question in general? Okay. Yes, in the back. Wearing the salmon. Is that salmon, by the way? Can we call that a salmon shirt?
Might be more coral.
Coral, okay.
But yeah. Hi, my name is Nicholas Fernandez, 20 years old. I'm a second year college business student here. And I'm looking to pursue a minor in real estate as well. And so I'm looking to start like applying for internships. I've already applied to 2, one Marcus and Miller Chapman, South Florida, and another company that I don't remember the name of right now. But I'm just wondering, like, what's kind of like the starter steps to getting into real estate? Because I know that there's a lot of online like schools to get your license, and like a lot of them are like relatively expensive, like starting off for college student. So like, how does it like? Could you give us like kind of like a roadmap on like how to start to getting involved in the real estate world?
Yeah, so I love the idea of internships. Y'all should have like as many internships as you can get your hands on, because our world operates based on who you know and not what you know. And the best part of internships is that they teach you also what you don't want to do for a living. So you get a leg up when you go. I had 5 internships. All 5 taught me basically the same thing. 5 careers I didn't want to have. So fantastic. Like that process of elimination, we took those 5 off, and it let me really become hyper-focused by the time I graduated. When you do intern, understand that you are there to do the grunt work, right? So in real estate, you're there to do the cold calls. That's what you're there to go door knocking. And it has an end. So you may have to trick your brain, understand, hey, this has an end. The end may be 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months. You're trying to earn your keep. You're trying to meet enough people, find someone to like you, and find someone to want to bring you underneath their wing. But you're going to prove your worth by doing the grunt work. As it pertains to getting your real estate license, like you have to get your real estate license, whether you do commercial, residential, whether you do leasing or sales, it requires it. I don't know how to overcome the objection of, well, it's costly. Like, starting a food truck is costly, right? Becoming a nail tech is costly. So look at it as no different than what's the cost of you taking one graduate level course? I'm sure it's the same as it is for you to go to the local school of real estate and get your real estate license. Your real estate license isn't going to teach you anything anyhow. It's just your barrier of entry. And that may be what allows someone to look your way. But also know this, the career opportunity you want, especially right now, if you're talking mortgage real estate, like we've been in a recession on that sector, that industry since May of 22. The good news is we will be getting out of our recession as early as March of next year, while the rest of the country is going into their recession. And it's going to be housing and real estate that pulls us out of the recession. With the exception of commercial, I'm really worried about some of the commercial debt going bad, especially with the output of or the fallout from COVID. But to go back to the advice I was trying to give, you have to create the career opportunity you desire, right? It's not, a lot of times it's not found on Indeed. It's not found on LinkedIn. It's found by working your network, by working your parents' network, right? Like again, my parents' network wasn't as robust, but maybe my best friend's parents' network was, and I was close enough with them and I was willing to ask them for a little bit of help to make some contacts. Don't be afraid to start attending networking functions. Even if you have to pay $30 to go to that luncheon, like show up, put a smile on your face, put on your best suit, introduce yourself and be you. And just be like, look, my name, like you did with us. Hey, this is my name. I'm 20 years old. I'm doing this. This is what I'm interested in. And I'm looking for a career opportunity. Who do you recommend I talk to? And you take it from there.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Hey, my name is Nicholas. This one's for Dustin. I know you're a mentor, and I wanted to know what is like the main characteristic that you look for in like young people that you take on. And also a follow-up question would be, have you ever like stopped mentoring somebody because you thought they weren't gonna make it?
Interesting. So no, because the mentorship that I tend to do, I do through the school. So it's my way of giving back to our university. And I'm not selective. Like the school does a great job of matching, right? So we have like a round robin, like speed dating, where the students get to sit down with you, you get to sit down with them, and they get to rank their top 5 and you rank your top 5, and they do their best to match. So I've never had a mentee that I fired, but I definitely had some mentees that they dropped out of the program. And it didn't hurt my feeling because at that point they were in it for the grade. I love those that when I interview them and I ask them, are you doing this for a grade? And they're like, no. I'm like, hell yeah. Right? Because that's someone who's balled in. I coach salespeople for a living. The salespeople that I coach for free because they work for my company are the worst students. The best students are the ones that are paying me $5,000 to be a part of my coaching program, right? Because they are invested both mentally and financially. So if you were to ask me who's my ideal mentee, yeah, my ideal mentee is there because they want to be there. But I've had ideal mentees. One of my favorite mentees, we didn't talk business at all. We talked life. Like she was a young woman who basically cared for her drug addict mom and her 2 younger siblings. So I was, for the most part, a very parental figure for her than I was maybe for Cameron's buddy, Alex. He came from a great family, dad super successful, mom super successful. So I got to be a true business mentor to him. But I personally don't have much of a say, but I do prefer someone who wants to be there versus they have to be there. Final questions? Whoa. Okay, we have 3. Yes, sir.
Oh, nice.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Brandon Delgado. So those are 2 follow-up questions. So the first one, what would be your guest like or dream guest in your podcast if you had to pick one? And then the second question is, I know you started for Dustin. I know you started your business from like nothing. What would you say is like the hardest part, like building your business and then finding people you trust as well?
Perfect. I can answer all of those. One of my soon-to-be guests, I would love to have James Clear on, who wrote Atomic Habits. I would love to have Chris Voss on. Chris Voss wrote Never Split the Difference. He's an ex-FBI negotiator. And Matthew McConaughey, because I think he's cool as shit. Right? So I'd probably go with those 3. Was the second question was building my business. The hardest part, getting off the ground. Like you'll hear people say, oh, the first million is the hardest million. Yeah, they're not lying. Like that is by far the hardest. Once you get off the ground, even when let's say I'm coaching a real estate professional or a mortgage loan originator or someone who sells life insurance over at Northwestern Mutual, making the first 150, 180, that's make or break. That's where like maybe 70% fail, but 30% make it. Once I can get them to overcome that big hurdle, it's a lot easier for me to get them to go from 150 to 300 and 300 to 500 than it ever was for me to get them to 0 to 150 in terms of income, right? So like what daily activities do they have to do? How much enduring do they have to take on? And also getting them out of their own way mentally, because we're usually our biggest enemies from a mental aspect. And then was there a third part or is that both?
It was like finding people you trust.
Oh, finding people I trust. Personally, yeah, I've my network. I hire the human, I train the skill. But like I can't train you to be a good person. I can't train you not to be an asshole. Right? So I have a hiring philosophy. It says no assholes. It's a true story. Ask anyone who's ever worked with us. That is, I don't hold punches. I say that in the most HR compliant way. And I look for good people. I also look for high aptitude. Like, you got to be smart. Like, at the end of the day, we can't, like, it's not our fault if we are smart or aren't smart, but I do look for smart people that have high drive and they're not assholes. After that, we can train you everything else we need. And I look for that typically within my own circle first. Or by my own circle, like some of our best associates get referred to us by our current associates. Know that when you're out there job interviewing. Who is your ideal employer? Who do you know that's there? That's how you're going to land that job. Yes.
So it's kind of two parts, and you somewhat answered it with that last question. But what are some things that when you're interviewing people you look for, and what are some things that automatically tell you you don't want to hire them?
Perfect. Easy question. I look for someone to have a signature story. I love people with chips on their shoulder. I walk around with 2 big ass chips on my shoulder, and I'm grateful that they're there. So I want that. I want you to talk to me about how you have been knocked down, but you picked yourself up. How you were counted out and you proved all your doubters wrong. Have a story. I don't care. Maybe that you're 5'4", but you made all conference D1 baseball, and your whole life you were counted out because you were 5'4". It doesn't have to necessarily be something that's, school related or work related. I just want somebody who can demonstrate with a story about how they've persevered, how they don't give up. That's probably the number one quality that I look for. Turn off the minute you want to lead with comp and benefits. I'm out. We'll get there. But if you want to talk about PTO and you want to talk about, what's the compensation package, that tells me you probably didn't do your research before the interview. You should have had an idea of what this industry pays. You should have an idea of what my company's benefits package is. So I don't want to go there. Or here's the worst. I love asking the standard questions. Like, I'll ask you in an interview, I'll ask you some weird questions. Like, how do you have your closet organized? By the way, I don't care what the answer is. I care about how you respond to it. And then I do like for people to explain how their closet is organized, because I like organized people. I'll ask somebody if I could go see the inside of their car. I don't care what car you drive. I want to see, are you a messy or clean person? I'm not going to check the inside of your car. I want to see how you respond to that. So those are some of the quirky questions I'll ask you. Some of the standard, where do you want to be in 3, 5, and 7 years? And when your 3, 5, and 7 year plan does not correlate with adding value and growing within my organization, I get tuned out, because all of a sudden that's a job to you and not a career. And I'm trying to hire career-minded people. And the minute someone says, yeah, I want to do this, but my dream is to own 3 dog kennels and to train horses. And I'm like, but I'm a mortgage company. That doesn't really correlate, So that's a bit of a turnoff as well. Like, I appreciate the honesty, but if there's a better candidate, they're probably going to get the job over you. All right, last question. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Yeah, where do I buy my first suit?
Ooh, I love this. Don't go spend a lot of money on your first suit. Go to Men's Warehouse. True story.
Is it Men's Warehouse? Is that the spot?
No, I mean
for him
you want a
now,
great
no.
suit? Hey, you want a great suit? Up on that board right now, they sponsor the university, Tom James.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom James, but you'll drop $3 or $4 grand, but they'll come and measure you, and that thing fits you like a glove. You don't need that. Y'all need a suit that lets you go to funerals, weddings, and your first job interview. Make sure it's gray or blue, not that flashy, because it's hard to go to like a funeral with like a bright blue pinstripe suit. And you only need one. Like women, y'all need that one black dress, that one black cocktail dress that's kind of your everything. Men, we need one suit to get going, gray or blue. Then you can change it up with your shirt combos. You can get 3 shirts. You can get a black belt, a brown belt, black shoes, brown shoes, and 1 suit, and you basically have 5 outfits. Just based on changing up your combo. And yeah, like I took my 18-year-old when he graduated from high school, we went to Men's Warehouse. That's not where I get my clothes. I get my clothes from Tom James. Or you want a hack? Here's my favorite hack.
Keep the tag on and bring it back once you get the job.
No, that's ghetto.
Oh,
that's not even
my
a
bad.
hack,
I didn't
man.
measure that.
Yeah, we
To
used to
this
do
day.
that back in the 32750 with baseball hats.
Old Navy was notorious for that.
Were they?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Rest in peace, Old Navy. But no, my hack is go to like what are some of like the nicer like the Neiman Marcus outlets, like those types of outlets. Buy it off the rack, and then go spend $22 at your local tailor, so you get a nicer suit from an outlet, but spend the extra $22 or $32 to get it tailor made to your body, right? Because I have broader shoulders, but I have a skinnier waist. If I try to put on an off the rack shirt, it looks like a damn hefty bag on me. But I can go buy off the rack work shirts, and then for $12, I go to Dry Clean World on Lee Road in Winter Park. Shout out Dry Clean World because I love them. And for $12 a shirt, I'll sit there and they get it all taken in. So that way it still fits me in the shoulders, but it doesn't look like a hefty bag on me. Yes, sir. Last question. I keep on saying last question, but I promise it's going to be the last question.
This isn't a question, just kind of an answer as well. Express has very good suits for very cheap.
Okay. Express for men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Express for men. I have like a 2-piece black suit that I got for like $150 total.
Nice.
Look at that. Students helping students.
Oh, by the way, if you buy a 3-piece suit, you now have a different outfit because you could go with vest, without vest, vest only with tie, vest only, no tie. So yeah, there's definitely ways that you can dress for success without having to break the bank. I think we did a whole entire episode on that, John, didn't we?
Episode 200 something.
You don't know that, but yeah, we have like 400 episodes. We did do one all based on dressing for success. Hey, UCF, you guys were amazing.
Yeah, thanks
Thank
everyone
you
that
very
stayed.
much.
Round of applause for yourself. You guys are the real MVPs.
Thank you to our special guest, Cameron Moore with
Shout
Hometown
out
Home
Cameron.
Buyers. He's
Appreciate
John
it.
Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. Y'all have just tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast, shot live and on location in front of some of UCF's finest, the College of Business. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sarah. Kids, class is dismissed.
Oh, that's good.
Everyone else, make sure you're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, subscribing, liking, sharing, giving a 5-star review, and we look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.